So today we're looking at A major scales, and watch the video lesson for free and pick up some tips, and we're going to be talking about scales a lot, so grab all the tips for free. But if you're interested in the book, this comes from my major scales for classical guitar, and this is for beginners to intermediate students. Make sure you've watched the other video on how to practice scales and ways to practice scales. That goes over lots of right hand fingerings and different methods to practice scales that will help you improve. Today we're just going to be playing some scales and talking about them a little bit. This comes from the middle section of the book, where we're just playing common open and closed patterns, as well as open string shifts. The last part of the book covers in major scale patterns over the entire fretboard. So like entire key signature oriented scale patterns over the entire fretboard. So make sure you check that out too. So we're going to look at some open position scales, some closed ones, and an open string shift. And then we'll just talk about them a little bit. So an open position scale pattern, 2 octaves. Open position is when you have open strings involved, right? And there's 3 sharps in A major. There's F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So you just have to be careful of those sharps. So it's always a good idea to say the note names out loud. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. It's a mouthful, I know, but it's really important that you gain an awareness of the actual notes you're playing. Don't just memorize fingers and memorize fingerings, because you won't retain hundreds of fingerings, but key signatures are pretty simple, and you'll start to gain an awareness of the key signature. Also, practice the individual octaves separately, so from one A to the next. There's the first octave. There's the second octave. You really want to make sure that you understand each octave separately. Again, just for your own awareness of where the tonic is, or where the root of the scale is, and just for a general good knowledge of the guitar. So let's move on to the 2 octave closed on the 6th string. We've done this pattern a lot. Let's do the octaves separately. So from one A to the next, again, as soon as you get into upper positions, say the note names out loud. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, just so you gain an awareness of the notes in that area of the guitar. So there's the first octave, and the second octave. Okay, A major on the 5th string. So this is a little bit awkward because it's going to go into upper positions. So beginners and even early intermediates may want to skip this particular scale. It's the same pattern we've been using, but it's just so high up that you may wish to skip it. It's a little bit awkward, but if you're in the intermediate level, you may wish to start practicing in your upper areas of the guitar so you get used to it. A 3 octave scale. So that combines a lot of the different patterns that we studied at the end of the book. That video where we cover all the patterns over the entire guitar, that pattern traverses through all those patterns. So it might take a while to recognize the patterns within that scale, but again, practice it from one octave to the next. Sorry. So to there, to there, 1 A to the next A, even in 3 octaves. And then an example of a 3 octave open string shift scale. Open string shifts are used in repertoire a ton. They allow us to shift during an open string. So E, F sharp. When we're going from down here, like C sharp, D, E, F sharp, It allows us to continue playing during a really big shift. So that open string rings out while we move our hand, making it nice and legato. So it's rarely practiced in scale books or presented in scale books, even though it's used in repertoire the most. So it's very important to practice them. And it's good shift practice too. So we start with an open position, A major scale. So that's that same pattern that we used before, right? But you're just going from the open string. So again, after going over the entire book, the later section that covers everything, and these just individual scales, keep reviewing it all so that you start recognizing where the patterns occur. And it becomes much easier. You kind of like, you can just do it on the top of your head without any music in front of you or anything, right? If you want to shift up somewhere, you just go from an E to any F sharp that you like. It could be there, it could be down here, it could be, you know, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, or you could use that F sharp. It doesn't really matter. You can combine the different patterns, but you have to be pretty confident with them first. So lots of review, lots of time to let it all sink